Here on Golden Goal, before we get set for this weekend's best bets in soccer, football, there's a lot of sports going on. Australian Open's kicking up for tennis, but we got some pitch picks to get to, and no one better to do it with than Martino Puccio from the Athletic Betting State of the Play Pod co-host. Martino, I hope you're doing a little better than Milan's doing, but I guess it's a low bar these days, right?
Been a rough couple weeks, the Mets just whiffing on Carlos Correa. The Devils are pretty damn good, and the Celtics beat the Warriors last night. So
There you
there
go.
is some positivity trying to spin it, but good lord, I'm terrified of top four, which we'll probably cover something on the future of Serie A with that. But super excited. Bundesliga is back this weekend.
Mhm.
Pretty much everyone is back now, so it's going to be thrilling.
Yeah, and we had a pretty decent week last week. Biggest hit was the Arsenal to win to nil at plus 310, but we hit that money line too. Got
Mhm.
the over 1.5 for City United. I know it was a pretty low number there, but we got both teams to score. We did miss on the City money line, but I mean, I don't think we read anything wrong into this Napoli Juve game. You hit the Napoli money line, but damn, we missed really badly on the under. It was at 2.5, and that was a 5-1 game. I mean, we came in talking about a historic defense, and all of a sudden we see 6 goals. I don't. Did we completely read that one wrong, or is that just the
I mean, it
beauty
was
of
it was a historical performance from Napoli. It's honestly, from like genuinely speaking, from a historical standpoint, it's probably one of their most significant wins that they've ever had. Because again, like regular seasons in American sports, they kind of mean little because of the playoffs. This is the
Mhm.
playoffs for them, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like little brother, big brother action, and Napoli put five past them. It's You could talk to Napoli fans if you know any by any chance. They'll tell you they in 30 years since Diego Maradona was there, this is their favorite victory. Because they're well on their way to win this title now. I mean,
Yeah.
sue me, I guess. Like what it happens,
Yeah.
man. It was like if I'm gonna lose, let it be one of the most iconic Napoli wins of all time.
Fair.
Like that's the way it goes. So, I mean, incredible by them, incredible. And now at this point, zero value to bet on that league. So, that's pretty much a
Yeah.
wrap there, in my opinion.
Now you made two future statements last week. If you didn't see the Arsenal one, that was one of Martino's videos that we posted across all our social media. Shameless plug. That was that you should grab Arsenal futures or to win the league now because it's gonna just lose value probably from here on out. Check on that, and then if Napoli wins, then this is over. I think even besides the win, just how emphatic it was that value just went down the drain. But we have tons of soccer to get to for this weekend. We're going to start on the English side of things in the English Premier League. We're going to start with Liverpool and Chelsea. You have a just injury beaten Chelsea team that has been disappointing this year. That has not stopped them from spending any money, but I digress. And then a Liverpool team who has been equally, if not a little less disappointing this season. I don't know. Pick your poison at that point. Two very underwhelming teams. Martino, tell me just what the vibes are in this game where you're rocking.
I mean, I this is super difficult for winners.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you have Chelsea in really poor form. Graham Potter's having a hard time to adjust. Multiple injuries on their fronts. Even then, with all the signings as you mentioned, how long does it take to integrate? With Liverpool, it's just they fell off a cliff. This was a team that almost won a treble just about a year ago, and now we're sitting here talking about are they going to make the Champions League? A lot of that core has returned outside of Sadio Mane.
Mm-hmm.
There have been injuries there, but it's really woeful all around. For me, it's just I really like leaning towards the over in this 2.5. If we know there isn't going to be great defense, there probably isn't going to be an easy winner to pick. Might as well take the goals. We see
Yeah.
Liverpool struggling against worse talented attacking sides. Chelsea, same thing. I think that's probably the safest place you can go to. And again, this is a massive matchup because the implications financially for these clubs not to make it into the Champions League is significant, but we're talking about missing entire European competitions, like not making
Yeah.
it into the Conference League. And if that is something that's on the table here, I think this is going to be pretty open because they need 3 points. And that's also somewhere I'm leaning as well. A draw no bet, if you want to parlay that with something, maybe even just a lesser total, I think that's something definitely to look at. both teams to score as well is never a bad bet. But for me, if you're trying to pick a winner here, I hope you have a favorite team in this matchup, as in a fan, because I can't. It's really a difficult one in that sense. But for me, I think you could see goals here.
I think it really just comes down to if you're going to do draw no bet, it's who is going to disappoint you more when they inevitably don't come through. I honestly, I prefer a double chance here over a draw no bet. These are two teams that between a couple of different competitions have drawn each of the last four times they have met up. I don't think it's going to be a scoreless draw, so I really like both teams to score as well, whether 1-1, 2-2. Again, I don't want to put too much just like faith in either of these sides. At this point, I'm going to read you a couple of just odds here. I think it's pretty clear which one is, the way to lean here, but you get Liverpool and tie at minus 400, Liverpool and Chelsea, Liverpool or Chelsea, I should say, at minus 360, or a tie or Chelsea win at minus 110. I mean, I'm kind of all over that tie or Chelsea win there. I mean, if I'm not going to be a believer in either of these teams, I might as well take the minus 110 at that point.
Yeah, I mean, even then, like, home field advantage, toss it out the window, toss everything that you thought you knew about these sides the past couple of seasons out the window. It's really is I want to say it's a crisis, but it's not,
Mm-hmm.
considering who they are. Like, they'll be okay in the long term. Short term, it's a crisis. These guys have no idea. Like, these are the two out of all the big clubs in this entire sport, and I'm dead serious with this. You will not find something more erratic than these two, because again, we're talking about two teams that we thought could compete for top four, even the title on an outside chance,
Mm-hmm.
right? Many people thought these two above Arsenal, no problem. They're not even going to be above Fulham at this rate.
Yeah,
And
I'm used to.
yes, exactly. And for me, it's kind of like, okay, at that point, can we weed out like some of the picks, like you were mentioning? Like, there's no value with Liverpool in a tie. There
Mm-hmm.
isn't that much value with a straight money line winner here. I mean, there kind of is, but it's not something you want to rock with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see exactly where you're coming from, because worst case, you're looking at an upset, and it's really not high risk. What, minus 110, as you mentioned? I mean, I hear you, man. It's just
Mm-hmm.
you got to exhaust every single option here, and this is why the sport's the best, because they don't
Yeah.
hand tie you to like 2 to 3 options.
Yeah, there's just so many different things that can happen here. I want to preface this also by saying this is not one of my picks. This is a pick I saw. I apologize. I forgot whose page I saw this on, but I mean, we know Gakpo's been getting a lot of action recently, and I know Salah's in the mix and everything, but you can get 2+ shots on target for Cody Gakpo at plus 200. Pretty good value there. But again, it's putting a lot of reliance on two very unreliable teams. So if you're waking up at 7:30 in the morning to watch this one, good luck and may God be with you. Honestly, at that point, especially if you're rooting for one of these teams. I want to stay in the EPL here. We have another match picked out for this one. It's Arsenal and Manchester United. You want to talk about two underwhelming teams we just hit on. These are two teams that have been red hot recently. And look, you had your video last week about why now is the time to jump on Arsenal to win the league. And there are a lot of comments saying that the real value is in United to win the league. Obviously, this match, Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, is really going to sway things here. Two really hot teams. Which way are you leaning?
Well, it's interesting because when Arsenal again was starting super hot to the year, United was down in the dumps. United pulls out a win. Just crazy. Shows why the Premier League is the Premier League. No Casemiro again. Also the same case earlier in the year. And with that, I think the draw against Palace midweek, I think Arsenal definitely benefited from something like that. United dropping those types of points. We saw City come back yesterday against Spurs. That was obviously massive for them.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sticking a little bit to what we did last week, and that's Arsenal
Okay.
money line, straight play. I like Arsenal money line in over 1.5 at plus 130. That's on BetMGM. For me, I really trust where Arsenal is at this point. I think there's genuine belief that they could do this. There's not that many matches left against the top sides, and again, you have to play who you have to play. Everyone has the same schedule. This right here, okay, this victory over Manchester United could really put them in the driver's seat, right?
Yeah.
If they're not already. And then again, if you did like Arsenal future, I think it's around minus 110 last time I checked. So we'll see what happens with that. De Bruyne has an injury as well for City.
Hmm.
If you want to take into account that much, with this one, I don't love the totals too much because despite United missing some players like Casemiro, they are a good defensive team. Arsenal have been a stout defensive team. Um, and with that, I'm not expecting too many goal scoring chances. United did just drop that midweek with the Michael Olise goal against Palace. I think
Hmm.
there's just something that's going to be grinded out here because it's a high pressure situation. Because United are right on City's tails. They had that big win over them last week. And then again with Arsenal, it's more of the same because it's just one step closer. And for me, Arsenal's just been the most reliable team in all of Europe besides Napoli this season. And I'm going to stick with that because, again, Matthias, we said this. No Gabriel Jesus. They've
Uh-huh.
actually been really good without him. And that's pretty
Yeah.
crazy to say. And now they did that against teams that we were a little worried about. I was personally worried about. I'm not too worried about with United in that sense. I think their guard is going to be up regardless.
Hmm.
And Bukayo Saka, man, again, if the
What
anytime
can you
goal
say?
or assist as well, I'm not saying play it. It's hard not to ignore that because I
Yeah.
think there's
It's.
something there. We're talking player of the year for the Premier
Mhm.
League in that sense.
I mean, there's just so much good young talent on that Arsenal team that sometimes, honestly, it's hard to just weed through and be like, all right, who do I go with this game, or do I just go with all three of them every game? I really like the second half to be the highest scoring half here. You can get that at minus 110 on DraftKings. I kind of just went off of, United has been scoring a lot of late goals, just going back to that City game as well. And they've scored, I think it's in the last 2 weeks, three second half goals, like after the 70th minute. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can just find a random stat to back me up here. And it turns out that Arsenal is actually second in expected goals on average in the second half. So that's all I need to see. You can get it in the first half, I believe, on DraftKings. It was at like plus 200. So, I mean, if you want to go just straight by value, and just kind of bank on like a 1-0 win or something like that, I guess you can. But I mean, I may be a little deterred just off of high stakes game, and I know it's not going to follow the same suit as like City and Spurs, but I like betting on things that I then can root for as well. If I'm not completely hedging my happiness,
Yeah.
I do think that the second half, even one or two goals, because I agree, I don't think we're going to see a lot of goals come Sunday. I think that's what I'm going to rock with for this game.
Yeah, definitely. I understand where you're coming from. Even it's kind of getting into that Fergie time, if people understand that reference,
Mhm.
where Manchester United during the Sir Alex Ferguson era, even then when they were getting late into games, they were just pulling goals out of nowhere, and
Mhm.
and that always comes with the sense of belief in a team that's really knows how to win and taking that next step. That hey, we might have missed a few chances in the first half, even the first 65 to 70 minutes, but we have 20 minutes, and 20 minutes is a lot of time. And if we've seen this
Mhm.
sport, we've seen the Premier League, especially where the most iconic like domestic league moment of the past 20 years was Manchester City scoring multiple goals in stoppage time.
Yep.
It's possible. And then again, this is the last time they play each other. So say it gets close later in the season where you go head to head and it's goal differential and it's all those kind of things. This is what matters in a match like this. And again,
Mhm.
if you're trying to get into this sport as well, just fan perspective, this is the one this week. This is a really good one. I know, yes,
Yep.
with Chelsea and Liverpool, it's bigger names, not too good looking.
Yeah.
But this one on Sunday, right before all your NFL games, then you get yourself situated. This is the one to rock with.
We're going to hit our third game here. Switch over to the Bundesliga. Dortmund is coming in, and they had a really disappointing end to last season, trying to pick up, I guess, where they could have left off, as Augsburg also with them. It's, you can call them Augsburg, whatever you want. We're not here to judge anyone. That's Sunday at 9:30 a.m. If you like goals, this is the league for you. Martino, tell me what kind of over we're hitting on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited that Bundesliga is back. By far, I think the best and easiest league to get into in the sense of entertainment,
Mm,
and especially betting, because there's tons of goals all the time. It's more of a progressive league, liken it to the way American sports have changed over the past few years, and more throwing in the NFL, more 3 pointers in the NBA, more homers in baseball. Totals go up, just like Bundesliga. Over 2.5 has hit in 3 of the last 5 matches between these two. There's no Erling Haaland this time around, so a little bit
mhm,
different. But with that, both teams to score yes is at minus 140 with points bet. That's really not that bad considering how often it happens.
mhm,
And again, coming out the gates, you want to start well to start the new year, with the start back up in Bundesliga. Plenty of rest given. Bundesliga is very wise about the way they do things. As
mhm.
we noticed, we've had a couple of leagues back for a few weeks now. Bundesliga players have slowly been playing friendlies, building up tons of stamina. And I think that's going to play into a part of seeing the starters go deep into games like you wouldn't necessarily see in other leagues. Do they have to play catch up with the condensed schedule? Also, yes. But with this, I mean, Dortmund is one of those sides that you could usually rely upon to have high scoring games. Sometimes they're so frustrating. It was one game earlier this season where I had them up. It looked like they had it in the bag. It was 3-1, and they end up having one of the worst collapses ever. And it ended 4-3 in their loss. But it was 7 goals, so plenty of goals, and that's kind
You
of where
take
I'm
it.
going. I mean, over 2.5 is not something that you have to shy away from. Again, that's a pretty high amount, 3 of 5.
Mhm.
Both teams to score. Dortmund money line plus 120. They're kind of a heavy favorite this weekend. Augsburg
Yeah.
hasn't been playing that well. Again, it's been a little bit of a layoff. That's plus 120. Really not too bad. And again, if you just want to parlay it or take straight bets with the over, there's nothing wrong with that. Um,
Mhm.
just and even then, there's some value if you like go over 3.5. You start getting into some plus money territory that really
Yeah.
isn't too bad, and I think that's worth looking at.
Yeah, the jump is just crazy. Over 2.5 is minus 240. Over 3.5 is plus 108. So you obviously make that massive leap there, but
Mhm.
that's usually the line for most soccer games. You're going to see that leap. Dortmund, again, is kind of desperate for a win here just because of how poorly they finished in 2022. Augsburg is a point clear of relegation, kind of been flirting with that recently. So if you like Dortmund minus 1.5 or just to win by 2 or more goals, get that at minus 130. I believe that was on DraftKings that I saw that. That's not a bad number to be hanging out at. Also, Augsburg do struggle to score goals, but sometimes they're able to score first. If that is the case, jump on Dortmund. There was a 5 game stretch. I looked this up. This is insane. From October to November, they took the lead in every single game. They lost 4 of those and tied in one of them. This is not a team that is good at holding on to leads, which is obviously not encouraging. Hearing what you just told me about that one Dortmund game you bet on, but Dortmund
Yeah, I'm
should
not betting
have
on
no
them.
problem in this one. I kind of like the over 2.5 and maybe even Dortmund by or minus 1.5 in this one.
Yeah, again, and to your point with the statistic that you brought up, live betting is awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
again, when you're reading and seeing things, say like 20 minutes, and you see tons of chances being created, I love taking live bet on totals. I really do. I think there's so much value there. Final scores, even as well. So, like again, perfect example. You like betting the spread in this one, minus one and a
Mm-hmm.
half. So you think Dortmund by 2 goals. There are bets that could have you Dortmund to win by 2 or more goals, or
Mm-hmm.
exactly 2 goals. There's all those types of bets that ends you up in plus money. So I'm not saying don't bet Dortmund minus 105 or minus 1.5. What I'm saying is you could take that, but you could also win twice the bets if you just
Mm-hmm.
simply put that down. And again, I forget the exact title of the scoreline, but we did this during the World Cup. A team to win by 2, 3, or 4 goals
Mm-hmm.
are usually options. Again, it's so much fun betting Bundesliga because there's so many different options for totals and winning margins, and there's so much value in this. And I think if you just really take the time to look through and see something that you're comfortable with, just as a fan, or you, Matthias Woman, you could easily find something that is of significant value. Take me, for instance, just real quick, that I have to talk about how frustrated I was this weekend. Atalanta, Salernitana, and Serie A. Maybe you saw me tweet this, Matthias. But I said, I think I like the over 3.5 in this one. It's at plus 144. The game finished 7-2. Bet it if you like it. Okay, 9 goals. That's not happening again to me. Do it when you have a chance, all right? Because I couldn't believe it. And that hit, by the way, the over 3.5 in the first 25 minutes.
And you're like, cool, like I'll take it.
And guess what? I didn't bet it, like usual. What else is new? Just you never take your own advice. But yeah, super excited for Bundesliga, and Dortmund's a great place to start watching.
Well, if you're not going to take your own advice, at least take Martino's advice. Can't really tell you to take mine, but you're usually good with Martino's. Martino, we have 3 fresh new games to get to next week. Till then, good luck with all your bets.